Hey guys, I want to show you some tips and tricks that are going to allow you to get through this takedown at Guardian Breach a lot easier. I've been studying the mechanics of this mission and I've learned some things that would have been really helpful for me if I would have known before walking in, so hopefully this will help some of you guys. There's some cool tricks to the final boss that will allow you to do a lot of damage to him, and then also if you've never been in that final boss fight, I'll show you guys how to stay alive and not accidentally get insta-downed and have to restart. The final boss does have a major weakness, and it might not be evident when you're in there playing because it's really chaotic. You're running around trying to survive, so I'll show you guys all of that. There are some objectives within this mission that can be tricky, and one of them is charging crystals. You have to charge a set of crystals pretty early on and then again halfway through. This is definitely one of the harder things you have to do, and I'll show you guys how you can be invincible while charging these crystals, and then also show you the breakdown of how these crystals work. So you'll fight through two areas of creature enemies and then end up on this platform right here. You'll have to clear another set of enemies right here, and then you're gonna have to go to the next step, which is charging these 3 crystals. So the objective is to stand by these 3 crystals individually and charge them for a certain amount of time, and enemies are going to be thrown at you and you need to survive and stay close to the crystals. If you don't charge all 3 crystals within a certain amount of time, then your screen's going to start shaking and a bomb's going to go off and it's going to kill you and everybody in the game, and you're going to have to completely restart. I wanted to do a breakdown of how much time you have before the bomb goes off, and then how much time does it take to charge each of the crystals. To charge a crystal, you need to stand right next to it. There's going to be a square platform, and it takes 30 seconds to charge each of the crystals, so it's going to take you 1:30 to complete this objective. I then timed it to see how much time you have before the bomb goes off, and it is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So that'll help you get from one crystal to another, but there's another issue you have to deal with that will take up some time. When you walk up to the crystals, the perimeter will turn blue, letting you know that it's charging, and then these portals are going to show up and start throwing enemies at you non-stop. There are 2 things that can keep this crystal from charging. One of them is you being outside of that blue barrier, and the other is an enemy being inside of it with you. And you'll know when it stops charging because it's going to turn white like that. It's gone from blue to solid white, and there is an enemy inside with you, so that is going to kill your progress. I'll show you guys something you can use that will help you hold your ground, stay next to that crystal, and be practically invincible. The build I'm using is for flak. It works really well because I'm using a shield that relies on an action skill, and with his rack attack you can activate the action skill over and over again and it gives you invulnerability. The shield is stopgap, and its ability is on shield break, become immune to any damage taken for 5 seconds. And what can put you into non-stop god mode is this specific anointed ability. It's the one that is on action skill start, activate any effects that trigger on shield break or fill. So basically anytime you activate your action skill, you are in god mode for 5 seconds, and with rack attack you can trigger the racks every 5 seconds, so it is back-to-back immunity. I'll show you guys where you can farm one of these stop gaps, but I'll let you know that it could take a pretty long time to find it with this specific anointed ability. It took me about 50 farms to get one, and that was on Mayhem 10. For those of you that do not want to spend the time farming for one of these, I can offer several of these to you, and I'm gonna have those available on my Twitter. I'll have a character save file that will have like 10 of these on it, so you guys can choose which one you want. I should make a post sometime within the next 24 hours. I'm just gonna get a few more to add to the list, and if you guys are interested in this save file, I'll have it on my Twitter @GirlGlitcher, and my Twitter is also linked down in the description on the first line. Also, if there are other weapons or equipment that you guys want and you can't get your hands on, let me know down in the comments. I will be sharing save files from my Twitter. I personally really love farming, so hopefully this will help you guys. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail with this build because I want to make a whole video on this, but basically you're going to want the rack attack on, and then you're going to want other equipment to help support a faster action skill cooldown. For the save files that I'll be posting on Twitter, and specifically for the stopgap shield, I'll be adding this StatBot class mod in there because it's got the plus 35% action skill cooldown. So with this setup, all you do is watch the action skill little panel. It'll count down from 5 to 1, and when it gets to 1, you just throw out another rack and you'll be invincible for another 5 seconds. Right here I did a full 30 seconds just triggering the racks over and over again and staying invulnerable, and I was able to finish that first crystal and move on to the next 2. If you are looking to farm this stopgap shield, then you'll need to to head to Jacob's Estates and then head to this part of the map right here. This is a pretty fast farm because you're close to the fast travel station and there's really no enemies between you and where he spawns. When you get over to that area, he's going to come out of a waterfall and his name's going to be El Dragon Jr. Also, within some recent update, they've changed the rare boss spawns to now spawn every time. So you don't have to restart your game like 4 to 5 times to get these guys. These guys will spawn every time. Before I move on to the final boss and show you the tricks with that guy, I'll let you know that I am working on strategies for Anathema the Relentless. This is a really tough fight, so I'm looking into gear and guns and builds that are going to help with this. Once I find out what does and doesn't work, I'll definitely let you guys know. So the final boss is Scourge the Invincible Martyr, and this boss has a few different attacks, and one of the minor attacks is the electricity that he can shoot up into the ceiling and then rain down into the arena. It'll electrify some parts of the floor and can definitely do some damage to you over time. You definitely want to watch where you step, and you can also equip the Transformer Shield that will give you 100% resistance to shock. Now, I would definitely prefer the stopgap method where you're invulnerable non-stop, but if you don't have one of those, this can definitely help. Now, one of the most dangerous attacks that he does that will insta-down you no matter what is the energy blast that he does. Whenever you damage his shield health bar down a fragment, he'll go into an immunity stage and then teleport to the center of the arena. At that point, he's going to start summoning a reddish energy orb, and when it reaches full capacity, it's going to explode and it's going to down you and all the players that are in the arena. One way to avoid the blast is to get behind any kind of barrier. So these pillars work great, or you can get behind some of these walls that are along the edge of the arena. Right there, the blast went off. I was safe behind the pillar and I survived. That was definitely the first very shocking thing for me and maybe most people. Whenever you get into that arena, you're not expecting to get insta-downed by that thing, so be aware of that. Now, there is a trick to stopping this explosion and also doing a ton of damage to him even while he's immune. So every time you damage him down to a certain point, he will always teleport to the center of the arena and start to generate that energy orb, and he will also spawn in 2 of these guys. These are a brand new type of enemy that also has an energy orb above their head called Schismatic Diadems. Their critical spot is obviously that orb, and when you shoot them, they create a large explosion around them. If you manage to shoot and kill one of these diadems within a certain range of Scourge, then it will immediately stun Scourge. He's going to stop creating that energy orb, so you're not going to get the explosion, and then it's going to take a huge chunk off of his health, even though he's immune. When these guys spawn in, they do spawn in pretty close to him, and you can see the explosion that happened right there. Right here, I'll show you. I'm going to kill one of them, and you can see the perimeter of that explosion, and it's not close enough to Scourge to stun him. That blast needs to be in contact with him to stun him, and then to knock the energy orb out of his hand, and then also take a big chunk of his health off. I'll show you guys some gameplay footage here of what all that looks like. So right here, I'll slow it down and zoom in. You can see how close the diadem is to him, and once you shoot it and he explodes, then yeah, you can see he becomes unimmune for just a split second, long enough to take a whole fragment off, and then he drops the energy ball and kneels down like he's stunned. The tricky part is trying to kill the diadems when they're close to him. They are trying to come towards you, and if you get within a certain range of them, they're going to explode on their own, and you will get insta-downed by them, so just be careful of that. For people that haven't done this boss fight yet, I don't want to ruin it, but you will be teleported out and then back in. That's just some of the stages you have to go through. Also, I wanted to see if he had any hidden loot on him. For Wotan on the Malawan takedown, after you kill Wotan, he would still produce legendaries from his legs if you kept shooting him. Right here, it looked like Scourge was doing his death animation, and I was still getting hits on him, so I don't know if he's got some secret areas that could produce legendary. I'm not sure yet. So I will definitely keep you guys updated when I find out about more tips and tricks and easier ways to get through some of these boss fights, but I hope this helped you guys out, and we'll see you next video.